Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show, where we celebrate the innovators driving change in the education industry. At Edison OS, we've worked with over 500 knowledge entrepreneurs to turn their EdTech ideas into profitable businesses. Hi, Sajad. Good evening. Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneur Show. Thanks so much for taking time out for this.
Hi, good evening. I hope you're doing really great. Thank you very much for inviting me over here. So maybe we can talk about some good things.
Absolutely. I have no doubt about it, Sajad. The pleasure is all mine. Sajad, my first question is this is my first question on the podcast. How did you get into education? Did you plan growing up, or is there another story to it?
So I'll say education is the first thing that we ever get as a children as well, right? So you're just born and then you start learning everything. So learning is something that you can't really, I would say, avoid at all. This is something that you have to do. So you're born with nothing, but you have to develop everything altogether. So how I get into education, so I can't really say how I did because I would say I was born at a zero level. I started developing and I was into education forever and I'll be into education, I'll say maybe forever. So the correct thing would be how I got into this teaching and everything. So
Yeah,
basically,
that's what I meant. How you got into the business of education.
yeah, the business of education. Okay, great. So for me, basically, I'll say I was just really below average. I would say high school kid hailing from India, maybe from a state board who look like I will say if I just rewind 10 years ago from today, so I would literally have no idea about what I am right now. I would literally have no idea about where I'll go, what I'll do. So it all started from, kind of it's all just like it all began just by teaching like my own cousins, just by teaching like my own friends. So maybe one day in my classroom, so somebody just came to me and like, okay, can you just quickly I'll say explain this thing to me, just these two topics. And okay, I did that. And they're like, you are very patient with what you are doing, you're very patient in explaining, right? You don't really I'll say get angry a lot. So if they had to ask that very same thing to the teacher again and again, so that might go differently, because that in our culture, or at that moment, maybe 10 years from today, so the system was really different, right? So nobody really understands child psychology that much. So even for our teachers, so that was I'll say that was that time. It worked best at that moment, but it just don't work this time. So the thing is, if you are very patient, so maybe I was very patient at that moment. Maybe I am right now. So and I just got that boost. Like you are really patient, and you can actually take that, I'll say, pressure of explaining something again and again for like hours in a day, and you can be a teacher. So this was my only motivation, that I am highly patient. So I can just I would say give it a try of saying something again and again, again and again, again and again. And I did that initially just one class a day, and then moving forward maybe 8 to 10 classes a day, the very same thing again and again. And somehow I developed that thing, like, okay, this is something that I enjoy. So I started enjoying that thing again and again. So, in psychology, we call that going from extrinsic motivation to intrinsic motivation. Initially, I got something from outside. It was extrinsic to me, like you can teach, but later on, I just adapted that in myself, like, okay, I can teach, and yeah, it went great.
Got it. At what point did it become your profession or a full-time career as such?
Okay, so like if I just start from that very same, I would say being a high school kid, and then I shifted to test prep for my own self, right? So I was in Kota and I was preparing for pre-medical at Indian level. So I prepared thrice. So, like when you prepare more than once, so you got to know everything. Like, okay, this might be my fault, and this is how my teacher can improve it. And when you just say like, okay, this is how he can improve it, so you feel like if you're not getting that, maybe you can provide that. Maybe you can try providing that. Maybe you can tell everybody that I am the student and I learn this way the best. Maybe there are many more students like me who can learn this way best. So when I gave 3 years to that very same test prep, eventually I cracked that as well. So once I cracked that, I
This is
got a
neat,
lot
is
of, I
it?
would, yeah.
This is neat
Yeah,
you're
this
talking
is
about?
neat. So
Okay.
once I cracked that, I got a lot of opportunities from around. Like, okay, you were into test prep, you cracked that. So why don't you just come to us and teach for a while? So I started teaching offline that way. Like the first time when I am teaching as, like as a profession. Before that, I used to teach, but that was never a profession. That was something like, okay,
Right.
you have some free time, you can solve your doubts, you have some free time, you can counsel at what to study, what to not, right? So that was the first time when I started teaching as a profession. And initially, I'll just tell you, like I was from a state board that didn't had any element of NEET at all. So from state board to that test prep and then again to the test prep as a teacher. So I learned a lot of things like this is how you do it, this is how you do that. So basically, I just self learned. I would say everything. I changed curriculums, and then with COVID, so everything just went online. So now you are not allowed to go anywhere outside. You are not allowed to go to your students like whom you can teach. So now you have to explore a lot of, I would say, marketplaces. So then I used to, I would say, watch these videos on YouTube. Like, okay, you can, I would say, get some gigs from Upwork. You can get some gigs from freelancer. And I'm telling you this thing very honestly. So apart from teaching, I have designed, I would say, a lot of graphics on Canva and other tools as well, because at that moment there was nothing that you can do, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
was not really aware of, I would say, online technologies that much. So I was just wondering, like how you can teach online. So at that
Right.
moment, so then eventually, I'll say I learned that as well, and eventually I just mainstreamed that. So I worked with an academy during 2022. From an academy, I went directly to Cygol Education UK. I worked with them. From Cygol Education, I was employed with Varsity, and then once I am employed with Varsity, so from that point onwards, I learned everything about this. I would say foreign curriculum and test prep like ACT, SATs, DATs, and all of these things. Before that, I literally had no idea. Like I'm that kid who literally had no idea about what it is, but yes, I know like I just had this motivation that I'll make it. So I just made that. Okay.
Got it, Sajad. And before we proceed, you finished your NEET, but you didn't. You lost your interest to pursue medicine. That's what you wanted to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't. You chose not to go ahead with it.
Yeah, actually, one of my teacher, so he is still very close to me. He used to teach us chemistry. So I cleared that. But like in India, you always have this sort of family pressure as well. Like you have to settle down like early in your life, right? So they won't really allow you that you are at 21 years of age now, and you will ask them like, okay,
You're going to
can I
start. Oh,
have 10
because
more
you took
years?
3 years for NEET, right? Right. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
obviously. So you can't really go and ask them, can I have 10 more years for me to graduate? So they won't really allow you for that, right? So you have to settle down very quickly. And my teacher, he suggested me that if you want to settle down, what you can do is get a bachelor's in economics and business management, right? And I did that, right? Honestly, from medicine, I did a bachelor's in economics and business management. I did that. So, and one side I'm doing my bachelor's in economics and business management. On the other side, I'm teaching biology like every day. As a teacher, I'm learning biology. I'm teaching biology. I'm just doing that regularly. So I did that graduation. I completed that bachelor's, and it did not felt that good, right? So obviously I learned a lot. I got everything, but the thing is, maybe I was more inclined towards sciences only, and I re-enrolled in my bachelor's. So I just changed from economics to radiology. That is basically the study of, I would say, body imaging, X-rays, CTs, PET, and everything. So I did that, and once I did that, so it somehow developed me more, right? So kind of maybe that interest in medicine, so it went away for 4 years, and then it came back once again because I knew like yes, I have to do this only. This is something that I have to do continuously.
Got it, Sajad. And you said your last kind of association was with Varsity Tutors, and are you still with Varsity Tutors, or are you on your own now?
Actually, Varsity Tutor is kind of a company that don't really hire you as their employee.
It
They'll
connects you
hire
with your
you as an
students. Right.
independent contractor. So you are kind of a tutor and you are an independent contractor with them. So they don't really, I'll say, disallow you for any sort of thing. You can't really, I'll say, like you are permanently associated with
Right,
Varsity.
right, right,
So you are an
right,
independent contractor. As long as you have your availability, you can work with them. Whenever you want to pause, you can pause. Whenever you want to continue, you can.
right. So, what's your students come majorly from varsity, or have you started to get students on your own? What's the
Uh,
percentage split?
Okay, so I did not slip. I didn't really have to split from varsity. That's one thing to talk about. So, but the thing is, I do get students from my own as well, right? So, kind of, I'll say like I have my profiles on maybe a lot of websites, a lot of I
Right.
would say freelancing websites. So, I have developed my own website as well. Apart from that, I am and I'll say my friends, so my colleagues, we are working on many more projects as well. Like we are working to develop some models as well to just streamline this thing. So we do have a website. We get clients from that website as well. But as of now, what I felt is we usually get students from the word of mouth only. So
Right.
once I teach a student, they'll always come back to me. They'll always recommend their friends, I would say
Right.
their schoolmates and everybody. So we do get a lot of students that way. So even if you don't have a website, so it's like if you can provide something with a lot of quality, you don't need anything. So you just need yourself like, okay, you can teach, so you will teach.
Got it, Sajad. So currently, what is it that you teach predominantly? The majority of your time goes to teach. What is it? Test prep.
Okay, so the majority of my time at present is going to ACT and AP. So essentially the college board
Right.
and test prep only.
Got it. So what is the average one can make, per hour teaching ACT and AP?
I'll say, like to be very, very honest, right? So when I started teaching online, I'm not really revealing any name except for varsity because I had really good connections with everybody. So at that moment, I had experience teaching science, right? But I didn't have any degree at that moment in science, right? So nobody was ready to enroll me for science, but they was very much ready to enroll me for economics, for anything related to finances, because I have that thing to show like, okay, this is my
Degree,
bachelor's in
right.
economics. Okay, you can take it.
But you clearing NEET did not play a role, is it?
No, not at all. So it
Wow.
never
Okay.
ever played any role, I'll say. So yeah, but everybody is like, like if you have a valid bachelor's, if you have a master's in something, show us that thing and we will surely enroll you. They are not like they don't wanna, I'll say, take a demo first. At first, they want a resume. In that resume, you should have a degree attached to it, right? So what you teach, what you have experience, everything comes later for Indian organizations, I'll say. It's not the case for foreign companies, it's for Indian companies.
Right.
They're like they need a valid degree in your hand, whatever degree that is. So I had a economics bachelor's at that time, and there is this company, and I would say went to their interview. So it was a long process, essentially training and everything. And after training, so they quoted a price to me. So that was just like just 180 rupees per session. So and it was like
Not surprised. Yeah,
mid
there are a lot
2021.
like that.
So they just gave me a quote of 180 rupees per hour, and they're like, "Are you good with this?" And I was like, I was really shocked, like, just 180 rupees per session, and you are teaching US kids. So basically, the job was to teach US kids some sort of, finances, like everyday finances, kind
Personal
of,
finance.
I'll say, yeah, personal finances, basically, like how to manage money, what is money, and all of these things. So they had everything built up, but they are not willing to pay that competitive. They are not willing to pay what the teacher really deserves. When I shifted to an academy, so the model of an academy is like I will say like I don't have to say this, but the thing is majority of Indian companies. So the model is you have to teach and you have to sell as well. So for an academy, the payment module is like you are teaching, it's all right. You will be paid a minimum for that. This is your fixed pay. The
Hmm.
variable pay that you can generate is through referrals. So you have to refer more and more students to us. When they will enroll, you will get this much percentage out of that. And this is
Got
where
it.
you will earn, right? So you're
Got
not
it.
earning from your base pay, you are earning from what you are getting.
Sales.
So for varsity, they just pay Indian tutors the US minimum, which is $8. So that is one thing that I told you, like maybe a split, but not exactly a split, because that is too low for a teacher who is working like since a very long time. If you are getting some individual, I would
So
say
are you currently
students,
getting paid $8 per hour?
yeah, varsity still pays $8 to any tutor who will join them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, $8 for a session. And if you are getting some sort of individual client, so basically, we are Indians, right? So we are kind of offering them all services from a different nation, right? So, and the thing is, we can get a maximum of maybe 20 to $25 for an hour, right? So because everything is too much competitive now, right? So if you say like, okay, I'll do 25, there would be some freelancers who will come to them and then offer them the very same subject at just $5 an hour, and you won't be able to make anything out of that. So these sort of things do happen these days.
Got it. And Sajad, you said apart from this, you're working with your friends to build new projects and stuff. If you can share anything about it, please.
Okay, so basically AI is on the rise. So we all know that. Even I would say just I'll say just maybe 15 days ago, just a fortnight ago, before talking to you. So I got an email from Khan Academy, and they have launched their own AI, Khan Migo, right? So Khan Migo has a lot of capabilities for teachers. So in a way that like whatever educational content you need from any sort of, I'll say, teaching assistant or from any sort of person that you associate with you. So you can get that from Khanmigo, right? This is one way to utilize AI in education, right? Maybe many of the teachers, they have their own, I would say, AI assistants, right? Many of them use ChatGPT, maybe some other. There are just, I would say, a lot of AI modules over here. And building an AI module is a lot easier. So, like my developer, he just say like, you just, I would say, need to know Python, and it's free, like, and you can do anything you want to out of that. So building an AI module is a lot easier, but what exactly we want to do is we want to gamify education in a way. Even
Correct.
Khan Academy works in the very same way, gamification.
So
There
Khan
is this
Migo
another,
reached out to you for what?
yeah.
You told you got reached out to from Khan
Yeah,
Academy, right? What
actually,
did they reach out to you for?
I
What was
have
the
some
proposal?
connections in Khan Academy, so there are few people that I know, right? So, and just I would say a few days before the launch of Khan Migo, they
Khan Migo.
launched Khan Migo on Children's Day. So a few days ago, they just reached us like, okay, you are a teacher and you have a Khan Academy teachers account, so you don't mind, I would say, testing this thing out, right? So they'll just, I
Oh,
would say,
right.
share you
Okay.
like, okay, this is it,
Got it.
and you can, I would say, use it. You can see what are the capabilities and everything. And from that very same
Right.
idea, like I got this thing, like, why don't we develop something through which we can gamify this learning? Gamification
Right.
means like you reward students over every task. You might have, I would say, heard or you might have seen this thing. Middle
Definitely.
school
I've heard
teachers,
it
I
a
would say,
lot.
giving chocolates to students, like
Yeah.
whenever somebody is doing really good, so they just give out like, okay, this is your chocolate, this is your present. So this is something that even I grew up with. So the very same thing can be done digitally as well, right? So we just call it as tokens or mastery points and everything. So we are kind of developing a module or a platform where we want to, or where we will, I'll say, we are actively trying to, and we will eventually. So where we will include a lot of, I would say, MCQs related to many different curriculums. Maybe there are teachers, like who are specific to just SATs, teachers who are specific to ACTs, but we want to build something which can include everything all together. So maybe a module where you can get material from IB, where you can get things for GCSEs, where you can get things for SATs and ACTs, and maybe high school honors and everything. So we just want to develop everything all together. And there is another, I would say, idea of me that what I want to do is I'll just keep it open source for students. So basically, I don't want my teachers to be there. I want students to be there so that students can solve each other's doubts there, right? So there
Right.
are like many students who can, I'll say, actively connect with each other on the platform only. So if somebody is posting a question, the other person, if he knows that, so he can answer that. So this way, I'm just trying to build something based on that. And whoever is giving answers, so they will be given some sort of mastery point, some sort of, like reward based on that gamification module. And then whoever will have the best rewards will be, I would say, somehow rewarded at the end of the month. Whoever is, I would say, kind of solving the most doubts, so will be rewarded at the month end or at the weekend, something like that. So that will engage some sort of, like that will, I'll say, enhance learning and kind of that spark of learning that we are missing out because of COVID and everything.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it, Sajad. And going back to, you becoming a teacher or, wanting to be an educator, what would you think back as a pivotal moment or, student success that solidified your
Mhm.
passion for teaching?
Okay, so basically, I would say I had a lot of connections at that moment as well. So one of my connection, he was a teacher, and he approached me with a student. Like I have this student, and this student is from Middle East, and then he is like, okay, if you can, I would say, do this part of this specific subject with him, that would be really great. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So at that moment, it was not like a lot of money that you can get out of that, right? Because I was new at that time as well in online. So the thing is, I taught that student for a really long time. So it was like it was a connection of maybe more than 30 to 35 hours of continuous teaching. So I have taught that student for a lot of time. And that student was like everybody is obviously, I'll say, above average these days, and everybody has a lot of capabilities. And very
Right.
same thing goes with the student as well. He had a lot of capabilities, but the thing is, he was not really able to explore them. He was not really able to like connect everything together. So I
Right.
worked with him. I put a lot of efforts in that particular student, and the results that I got from the student was in terms of a lot of respect. So that was my pivotal moment. And like the parents, they reached out to me, and they're like, like the way they spoke to me, so this somehow overwhelmed me. Like, okay, if this is one student that I taught and he excelled, and I got a lot of respect in return, right? Except from, I would say, all the monetary benefits and everything. So I got a lot of
Of
respect. And like,
course, yeah.
if
Your
all of my
confidence
students are able
about,
to succeed, so I'll get a lot of, I would say, respect in terms of like whole community. So
right.
the way parents will talk to you after their, I would say, kids succeed, the way they will come back to you after their students, I would say, after the students get a 5 in AP, or maybe somewhere around 32 or 34 in ACT, or more than, I would say, 1400 in SATs, right? So that just is way too different than what you deserve. So you're like, like you just feel like you're at the top of the world, the way they speak to you. So that is something that always, I would say, motivates me, that kind of respect, right? Apart from everything.
Got it, Sajad. And your teaching, how would you say, I mean, has it changed? Has it evolved? Is it evolving? What are the things that, you observe in your teaching?
I'll say, like initially, if it was upside, now it is upside down, or initially, if it is upside down, now it is upside. So the thing is,
Can
it
you give
has
an example?
changed. Yeah,
Can you give an example?
yeah.
What
Okay.
was what has
So,
become upside down? And what was
okay.
upside down has become normal now.
Okay, so initially, it was like, like initially, if I'm teaching a student, so I would be just, like, I'm just stuck to a certain, I would say, textbook. Like, okay, I'm
Right.
teaching somebody ACT, right? And I'm just stuck to Princeton Review, that this is the Princeton Review book, and they are the best publishers out there for ACT. If you want to get 35, if you are planning to get, I would say, 36 in ACT, or if you're planning to get at least 34, or maybe at least 28, so this is something that you have to stick to. And I was the very same teacher who is being stuck to that book only. Like, okay, you have to do this, and we are doing that book. So I'm just at traditional approaches only.
Right.
Over time, I did, I would say, a lot of open courses as well, a lot of paid courses as well on virtual teaching and a lot of other things. And, like somehow I explored this thing that if you're just going with that very same traditional way, so there is nothing that you can offering to the students. You are just, I would say, kind of showing them a textbook like, okay, this is the text and just read it. So teaching is not just about reading out something from a book or reading out something from the lecture notes. So I do have a lot of, I would say, lecture notes over my desk, but I just use them only for once. So initially, when I started, the upside thing was make some lesson notes read them in all the lessons, and your job is done. Now that thing which is upside down is make some lesson notes, read those lesson notes in just one lesson only and discard them, right? So every lesson should be tailored in a way that this is your best lesson, and you're not using those very same lesson notes again and again. So you have to think of something new. You have to think of something that will work between you and that student. So that's the essence of one-on-one as well. And that's what I have changed from upside to upside down. You don't have to just read the lesson notes. You have to make the lesson notes for every single lesson. So,
Right.
and like that's where most of the teachers, I would say, lack as well. So if somebody, I would say, is coming to you and paying you just $15 for a session, and you will just say like, okay, I have the notes for that very same session. I'll just read out those, right? So it will work, right? So the thing is, even parents are happy. Student is happy as well. He will get whatever he deserves, or he will get whatever you are preparing him for. But that's not the actual way of teaching. The actual way is you work before the lesson, you work in the lesson, and you work after the lesson. That's where the whole job is done. So that's what is changed now. Now I work before the lesson, in the lesson, and after the lesson. Back in time, I just have worked in the lesson only. I'll say that.
Interesting. And every time you take a new student, how do
Mhm.
you, what do you do during the first couple of hours? Do you assess, because you said you customize everything to the student's needs, right?
Yeah.
So, what are the things that you look for when a student joins you for the first time?
Okay, so the first thing that student and every single parent expects is would be a very, I would say, free demo, the very initial thing. So in the demo, there is obviously no assessment. It just, I would say, it's just you showcasing your way of teaching. So there is nothing in the demo, obviously. So in the first, I would say, week, or in the first month of your association with the student, if it's a long-term student, there are many times that we get students who are really devoid of time. They have a test, I would say, next week only, and they just want to do everything overnight. And but yes, on the other hand, if student is joining me maybe at the beginning of his high school, and he wants to prepare for AP in the next, I would say, summers, or maybe in the next, I would say, testing phase, or maybe he wants to do SATs in October, or maybe he wants to do ACTs in maybe in winters, and he is joining me in summers, or maybe much before in time. In those cases, what we usually do is, so we just, I would say, let's say, there are many cases when we start from the first unit. So in that case, you're just starting from scratch. Or let's say the student has already done something, so we just do a quick assessment of that. I just do a rapid fire, I would say, session with a student where I just ask him to tell me this thing and that thing and everything. So we just go over a lot of things altogether. And then we analyze whether the student wants to start from the beginning with a changed approach, or whether we can continue from the very same thing where we are. So in most of the cases, my students, they always preferred starting everything from the beginning. So starting everything from the scratch once again, rebuilding everything, and then appearing for the test, right? So maybe they feel like their approach is not good. Maybe we should approach everything this way. So when you start everything from the very beginning, you have a lot of time to correct your mistakes. You have a lot of time to rebuild everything. So most of the times, the students, they know everything. Like if somebody is coming to me for ACTs, so ACT has a good part of science. So basically, the actual essence of ACT is you don't have to teach any topic of science. So they really know everything. You just have to prepare them to answer all the questions in a very limited amount of time. The key difference between ACT and SAT is the time actually. So you just go over with them over everything, every single thing. So you just develop everything in a way that you change their approach.
Right.
So most of the times we are not actually teaching anything. Most of the times we are actually showing them the way to learn, showing them the way to approach a certain question, showing them a way to manage stress, showing them a way to, I'll say, be active when they don't want to be active. So these sort of things do happen in lesson more than, I would say, teaching and learning. So somebody joins in me. So basically, like maybe later on you'll ask me why you did a master's in psychology. So the whole idea of enrolling in psychology is to understand children in a better way. So because I know this thing very well that everybody can read a book, everybody can have a standard, I would say, test prep book. They can read out that book and they can go really great. So the job of the teacher these days, especially these days, is to manage everything for the student. So we have to actually show them a way they can manage stress out of everything. They can manage, I would say, their test prep anxiety. They can manage, I would say, their daily things and everything. So
Right.
the first lesson is basically assessing the personality of the student rather than assessing their subjective knowledge. So I assess the way the student can learn, and then
Right.
we go like that. So there are many students, like most of the times, I just ask students these sort of questions. So which one do you prefer, Marvel or DC? So that is essentially a very good thing, basically. So if the student prefers DC, so whenever I'm teaching physics to him, I'll always take examples from DC. I'll always take examples from, I
Right.
would say, Batman or
Right.
Superman. So that just connects everything all together. So the student feels like
Nice.
he's learning from somebody who is like him. So these sort of things do happen in the first lesson or in the beginning of everything.
Interesting. Is there another dimension or anything else, if you have to say? You said, you try to understand the personalities of your students
Mhm.
and not how strong they are in their subject. So, have you kind of found a pattern in the different ways that students learn? Um, do you bucket them? Okay, you know what? This student learns in this way. So, are there types of learning or types of teaching according to you? Has that kind of come across?
Yeah, so basically, I'll say as an Indian teacher, obviously, maybe I'm not, I would say, sure about everyone, but when I was just a student, I was really afraid of mathematics, right? So I I never was able to do even the basics of maths, right? These days, my students are really clever than me in mathematics. I never taught maths, and I don't think that I will ever be able to teach maths. I have tried a lot, but maybe I can never succeed in that. That's one thing that I should know. The thing is, every teacher has a different approach of teaching, right? So for
Right.
me, what worked the best is to note down every single thing that I learn from a student. So I do have a lot of diaries on the left and on the right of my table. So in all these and on say maybe on a lot of, I would say, Google Sheets as well. So I do have data and my own, I would say, feedbacks and session notes and everything. Every student has a different approach of I'd say learning something. There are many students who will just, I would say, jump into questions. They don't want to do the concept once again because they are familiar with that. They just
Right.
want to do some MCQs and they just want to do some maybe free response questions and they just want to write an essay on something, and that works for them. Many times they're, like I'll say 60% of the times I get a student and they are like this, they are not really enjoying learning. They're like this, like they have to go to the school every day. It feels like a burden to them. So 60% of the times I get students like this. So they're like, we don't want to go school. It's our parents who just want us to go to school. So they don't have that spark. Maybe they are not able to connect the learning with the outcome. They are not able to connect their learning with what they want to be in life. So most of the time the students, they have a dream like, okay, they want to go to this certain, I would say, place. They want to pursue a career in aerospace, a career in that and that, but they are not able to connect physics with that. So they hate physics, and on the other hand, they want to do something in aerodynamics. They want to do something in astrology or in astrophysics, right? So kind of the thing is, even if you have a vague career like in astrology and I would say and tarot reading, right, or maybe in a thing, but still you have to learn about probability, right? So kind of whatever you're saying, you have to learn about these things, that it should be true at least 5 out of 10 times, right? So that's the only way you can get clients, right? So the thing is, students are learning, but they are not able to connect what they are learning with what they have to do in future. So this is a
Okay.
constant pattern that I always get. A student, he is learning everything, but he is not able to connect what he is learning with whether it is really useful for what he will be doing in the future. So this is a constant pattern. And for me, I'll suggest all the teachers as well that whatever you are teaching, make sure that you know the hobbies of the student. And whenever you give out an example, just
So that
connect
is
that
where you're
example
bringing
with
in the
what you want to do.
probabilities for tarot and astrology, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, great, great, great. Okay, so such, And what are the tools? You know, I believe when I kind of assume that you teach online primarily,
Mhm.
what are the tools that you use currently, Sajad, for your online teaching?
Okay, so basically, I'll say the more tools you will have, the less it will be. So there are many open source tools, like these days. So kind of starting from the very basic, I would say tool like Quizlet. It's a very good platform to get MCQs over anything. Then there is Kahoot, right? That's a very good
Yeah,
example
yeah,
of gamification in learning. Then there are many, I would say, open source things from MIT as well, right? So you can
right.
use that. And then there are things like Creative Commons if somebody is interested in content related to education. So you can use that. There are many, I would say, open source textbooks as well that we can really, I would say, borrow and use them. So there are, like the more you will explore, the more you will get out of it. So even these days, the basic Google search can do a lot of things for you. So when I started teaching, if you search periodic table on Google, you will just get a picture of periodic table. But these days, when you search periodic table on the Google, you can try that. So you will get a periodic table, and over the very same periodic table, in whatever I would say element you will go, so you will get a detailed everything on that
Explanation.
element, right? So if you even if you try, so you will get a like you will get a picture of that I would say electron configuration as well. So it has become a lot easier for us to give everything to the student. Back in time, you will get a periodic table like, okay, this is a periodic table, and
Yeah,
these are
right.
the configuration that you have to do. But now, if you click on that, you will get like from atomic mass to density to everything would be there. So the thing is, you just have to be clever in what you are using. So there is not a single tool that you can use. So you can constantly explore many tools for many of your classes for whatever you need.
Right.
The greatest tool that I have felt as of now, so there are, I would say, I have pinned, I will say, a lot of things over my, I would say, desktop. So just to, I would say, get a lot of things. So there are many things. There is this one, the ChemTube 3D. So this ChemTube 3D, it actually gives me 3D models of any of the chemical. Like let's say you are teaching ammonia to a student, right? So ammonia is
Mhm.
basically NH4, a bit of chemistry. So you will draw ammonia like this is nitrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. If you go to ChemTube and share your screen, you can actually show them that 3D model of ammonia.
Right.
So learning happens the best when you utilize more senses of you. So you are visualizing something, you are writing something, you are hearing something that will essentially make it a long term, I would say, connection between what you learned and what you will apply. So that is again a very good tool. And these days there is this, I would say, a new website, Note, KNOWT. And this Note, it is going really great as of now. So they are developing a lot of things for SATs and ACTs and AP as well. And the thing is, they have a lot of flashcards, and many of my students they prefer flashcards. So whenever they are revising, so they
Right.
prefer flashcards, and you can access those flashcards online there. This is one tool, and then Khan Academy, that was always a very great companion of me. So you can actually, I'll say, assign a lot of courses from Khan Academy directly to the student. They'll learn that course, do the quizzes, right? Redo the quizzes, and you will keep on tracking their progress. So there are essentially a lot of things, and maybe just by evening there might be some new tool. So I can't really, I would say, list out anything. So there are a lot of tools.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the video conferencing tool, what do you use? Do you use Zoom or, Varsity Tutor have their own thing?
So varsity tutors, they have their own thing. I am working with Philo as well. So really as a part time. So maybe once a week or maybe twice a week.
Sorry, you're
So
working with?
Philo EdTech. Philo is a good name in India. So you
Okay,
might have heard
interesting.
of them, right? Philo. So I'm
It's
with their
FILO or
yeah,
PHIL?
FILO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Philo.net.
Philo.com. It would be .com.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So they have their own, I would say, LLM as well, right? So the very same thing goes with Varsity. Varsity just have a really structured LLM, right? So their live learning system or the platform is really great. The thing with Varsity is they have a lot of questions as well. Like they have a huge testing platform attached with the LLM only, right? So the thing is, let's say you are teaching a certain topic to the student,
Right.
they'll just click on the bar and you'll just see the questions. You will select the questions, whatever you want to assign to the student, select them, assign them, and you and the student, you both can work together on the on those questions in the session only. One
Right.
thing, the second thing is the student, he will get a feedback as well at the very same moment. So he did a question, as soon as you just clicked your, I would say, answer, he will tell you whether which one is correct, which one is right. That's the very basic thing. Every single, I would say, testing platform can do that. But that Varsity Tutors platform, it can also show you a correct way to approach that, right? So
Right.
that is again a very good thing. And the other thing is the tutor is in the session as well. So, and he
Right.
is constantly monitoring that. So, whatever the student will choose, I would be able to see that, like, okay, this is what he chose. And then I can also correct that. I can also show them the correct way to do that. So, this testing platform, it is lacking from a lot of other, I would say, organizations that I have worked with. So, every organization do have a, I would say, LLM. They do have a, I will say, what do we call that? A Wise and Zoom account, right? But they don't have a testing, I would say, platform attached to that. So you need a really great question bank for every session. You can send, I would say, homework to the student. There is no doubt in that one. You can send, I would say, PDFs. You can send, I would say, questions and everything to the student that they can do as a homework. That's a secondary thing, like for the homework, they can even go to ChatGPT, copy that, right? Get the answers and give that to you. So that won't really make everything amazing. But having a question bank along with the session, that essentially just, I would say, like make things really amazing. So in the last 10 minutes of the session, you can essentially pick the question that you did today and do it along with the student so that you can test them beforehand without any, I would say, kind of AI involvement or anything like that. So I like that thing a lot.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So that's very interesting insight that you said that you would like the feature of um, having a testing platform integrated within. There are LLMs integrated. You said, but you said you would like. Got it. Great. And what inspired you to branch into test prep, and how does it differ from other forms of teaching that you've previously done?
Okay, so basically, like any form of teaching, so whatever you are teaching, right? So even just a simple middle school science, just I would say simple, maybe simple middle school sports science only. So you will
Right.
have a lot of time. So you have a great time frame for everything, and even the term and exams. So they will also have a great time frame. So you can actually have a lot of time to give answers of a very few number of questions. In test prep, the thing is, you are always thrilled. You are always short of time, more in questions, right? So the actual, I would say, thing in test prep is you have to prepare the student in a way that they have to be very quick and accurate, right? So these are the two things that you need to be in test prep at the to be or to prepare for the test, right? So you need to be very quick and you need to be very accurate. So you're not just, I would say, teaching some sort of subjective content to the student. You are actually teaching them in a way that you have to be extremely accurate and extremely quick. Like for SATs and ACTs, SATs will give you more time per question. When it comes to ACTs, you don't get, I would say, more than 50 seconds for a question, right? So in just 50 seconds only, you have to actually give a accurate answer if you want
Right.
to, I would say, outshine everybody. So my, I would say, motivation to be in test prep is to, kind of, like it just makes you feel younger always, right? So I believe that if you are slow, it means now you are old. But if you're quick, even if you're still quick, so it means you're still young, right? So yeah, so I have to be younger like always, so I have to be quick. That's just one of the vague idea that I was in test prep.
Got it. Got it, Sajad. And coming to the business aspects of being a
Hmm.
tutor,
Hmm.
for somebody who's thinking about getting into tutoring as their main career, what would you advise them?
Okay, so I'll say anybody can get into like tutoring, right? That's not a big deal anymore. Like
Hmm.
you can get a laptop and you can get a pen tab for just like 2,000 rupees, right? And you can just start teaching. That's not a big deal at all.
Right.
So my first advice for anybody who wants to be in tutoring is, like rather than building your subject knowledge, you can build that along with your I will say your teaching and everything. Go for the skills, right? Go for a very good, I would say, teachers training program. I just always prefer that you should learn, I would say, child psychology before you are into teaching, right? You should learn the way we develop languages, the way we develop other form of knowledges, the way we can learn our capabilities, what's the maximum, I would say, capacities of us. Like as per psychology, there is this thing that we learn in chunks, right?
Right.
So I'll say like even if you want to remember something, so there is a certain I would say capacity of you, right? So you can't remember a whole 10-digit number altogether, right? So you can remember like up
Right.
to 7 or 9 only. This is the maximum that you can do. So we should learn our capabilities, right? So as a teacher, even when I was a student, so our teachers used to just overflood us, just give us all the things altogether, and we were not capable of that, right? So we should learn child development in a way that we should know at what age, at what age, and of how much we are capable of. So before coming into teaching, you should learn what you can do as a teacher. You should learn, like what's the potential of the students, how much they can do. First of all, what's their maximum capacity, like these days and maybe in the future as well. So even us and even a lot of I would say working professionals, so we are so much I would say concerned about our mental health. Why? Because we are overusing us, right? So and as a teacher and like as a person who is more inclined towards psychology, I never wanted this thing to happen to any child, right? So I don't want our childs to prepare like us and then to struggle like us, right? So as teachers as well, I want anyone who wants to be in business. So first of all, they need to learn about child psychology, one thing. The second thing is they should learn marketing. Point number two, so you should learn how you will present yourself. You should learn what are the things that you can do, in how many ways you can approach a certain client, right? Yeah, like in on how many websites you can list yourself, right? So you should know these two things, and the second thing is you should always open to work, right? So the thing is, even if you have your own business, you should always open to collaborate, right? So the thing is, like many teachers believe that you can't really work under somebody, right? But the thing
Right.
is, if you want to be a really great teacher, so learn to work under many great teachers as well, right? So the more you will work with teachers, the more you will grow, right? Maybe you can get a good point from that. So like for me, if I would have never been associated with varsity, I will never know that we can actually integrate test prep with LLM, right? We can actually integrate a testing portal with LLM, right? So even for
Right.
teachers, learning should not stop, right? So you
Got
should
it.
be open to work with anybody at all. Be open to work with any organization, whoever will approach you. So you should be open to work. These are the things that I'll suggest anybody. And the other thing is, like there are many freelancers out there who want to, I'll say, come into tutoring as a full timer. So my only advice to them is, like you should research the market first, then you should come.
Right.
Like many times, like a freelancer will come and he will offer his services for as low as $5 to $10, right? That's not the
Right.
thing that everybody will appreciate, and that's not the thing that will keep you up for the long term. If you're
Right.
declining your price, you are actually, like reverting the whole trend of the market, right? So economies should go up. They shouldn't go down, right? So if you or a group of people are offering a lot of things at lower price, right? That might be great for you for a year or maybe for 2 years. But the thing is, after that, what will you do, right? So after those many years, so when whole of the trend will be on the downside, right? So it might create a lot of, I would say, bad impacts on the other businesses, and you won't be able to sustain that thing for a longer time. So if you're coming towards something for a long time, research the market, have a price which is competitive, right? You can offer 10% discounts, 20% discounts, but make sure that you are at par with the current levels, right? So it shouldn't be in a way that you are just, I would say, offering something at 90% discount, right? So that is something which might, I would say, create a lot of difficulties for the future business as well of that very same person, right? Now to the other I would say businesses over there. So we should focus more on quality than quantity. So the lesser you will teach, but the better you will teach. That would be something that I can say so to anyone at all.
Got it, Sajad. I'll probably conclude with this question.
Mhm.
As a tutor, what is the biggest problem that you're trying to solve for yourself for you to able to go to the, next level in your business?
Okay, so basically, I don't know like whether other tutors are experiencing this thing or not. So the biggest problem that I have experienced, like even when I started with varsity. So the thing is, like even like whatever country that we are targeting. So basically, we are concerned with SATs and ACTs only. So for SATs and ACTs, like there is a client preference. Clients they prefer somebody of their own, I would say, native nation only, right? So that creates a lot of, I'll say, like gap between the tutors and the students. You're not able to approach, I would say, that level of, kind of client base. Why and why? Because you are just from another nation and they just don't want to go with you. Why is that? Because they don't really know, like kind of what is your background and
Right,
everything.
right,
So as a tutor, what I'm struggling with is to build a great, I would say, portfolio, right? Even
right,
the idea of developing a that I would say model that we discussed is to build a great I would say portfolio, right? Great portfolio of a huge thing, of a thing that everybody can rely on, right? So once you have something reliable, portfolio can be in any type, any form, right? It can be websites, it can be kind of your own offerings and everything. So if you have a great portfolio, you can actually have a lot of success. If you don't have anything, so start building it, right? So rather than just teaching and teaching and teaching, I'll say you should do 50% time. You should, I would say, assign 50% time to teaching, and the rest of the 50% time to content developing, to develop the things that you will use as a tool, to develop the things that you will use to build the confidence, to build, kind of the learning in the students. So the only thing I'm struggling with is to build that 50% of the part, right? So I have taught a lot, maybe more than I would say 8,000 hours. I used to teach 10 hours a day. But the thing is, I was never so, I'll say, kind of aware of this thing that in the future I need more content than my teaching hours. So at present, I'm working on that part. I'm working on the content part of teaching, right? So you need more content. The more you have, the better you will be. So it's kind of more content. I would say this is the only thing that I want to do. So once I am done with all of the things, all of the content, so I can say like now you just have to, kind of, now you just have to take a part out of that, reshape it, reform it, personalize it, and deliver it. So this is what that I believe. Once you have everything, so the thing is, this reshaping and reforming, this is something that I am doing continuously. This is something that I learned as well. But I don't have that pile of things. So now I need those pile of things, right, those everything, so that I can reform, reshape, and deliver that. Yeah.
got it, Sajad. Sajad, it was wonderful talking to you. Great to hear a lot of fresh perspectives is what I got. So thanks so much for your time. It was a pleasure having you.
It was really great, I would say, talking to you. So, kind of, I'll say the more we will share, the better I would say we will become at teaching, right? So,
Yeah,
teaching is all about sharing. So, kind of, this is something that I do with the students as well. So, I just share what I know, right? So, kind of, if I'm doing the very same, so I'm like really happy with that. So, this is something that I do like morning, evening, and all the time. So, yeah, I'm really happy to be here. It was a really great conversation with you.
thank you, Sajad. It's my